What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Have you ever wondered if there's an easy way to test new wheel fitments or new tire setups with your car? I'm gonna test out a theory today and see if I have a hack for it. So I recently dialed in my car with a little bit of extra suspension and camber plate mods, and with that I actually have a little bit more space in my front wheel well to go with a more aggressive tire. Since my tires are pretty much dead flat right now, I'm considering going with quite a bit more aggressive setup, but the only way to test whether that's going to be a problem and if I'm going to rub horrifically or not is to get a pair of spacers, throw them on the car, and see what it will look like. And just to preface, if you were testing out whether a new wheel setup will work, you'd have to look at the offset of the wheel to make sure you're not going to hit anything on the inside of the wheel well. But if you're just looking for whether it's going to be flush with the fender of the car, using some spacers is a great way to test that setup. And for me, since I'm just going to stick with the same wheels but change the tires, I'm only going to be looking at whether the tire comes into closer contact with the fender itself. With that in mind, let's grab our spacers and throw them on the car. Alright, and a real quick thing to note, if you are going to do this and plan to drive around on spacers for a while, I would recommend buying a pair of nice quality ones that aren't going to fail on you. Since I'm only just test fitting and probably won't drive the car really at all with these on, these are just some cheap Amazon ones. Alright, let's put them on the car. Alright, so I officially got a pair of Vorschlag camber plates officially put on the car recently and now have 2.7 degrees of negative camber up front. The problem is, on the old setup, I used to rub like crazy. And as you can see from the sidewall in this car, there's quite a bit of scraping from where the fender was actually meeting the wheel. Not necessarily a good thing. And now that I have extra space, I probably shouldn't actually upgrade the size of the tires, but I figure since I'm staring at some bald tires, might as well go big. And as you can see from this particular spot in the rear, this is where it seems to contact the most on the passenger side. It has quite frankly deformed all of the metal under here, so that'll have to be addressed. And I'll probably have to roll or have someone kind of massage the fender to get me just a little bit more space. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, I've just basically scraped the entire side of the sidewall here. The goal for this setup now would be to go 10 mil wider in the rear and 20 mil wider in the front. So the way I'm going to test that is I have 5mm spacers, which I'm going to put in the rear. And because 10mm wider tires only equal 5mm on either side, I should be able to just chuck a 5mm spacer in the rear and see how close the tire gets to the rear fender. Same logic goes for the front. So yeah, that's the logic. I don't know if this is technically the best way to go about it, but I figure this is a way cheaper way of finding out as opposed to buying $1,600 tires and rubbing like always. So let's figure it out. Let's see right now. Alright, so for installing the spacers, it's a pretty easy job. All you gotta do is jack up each corner of the car, pop the wheels off, chuck the spacer on, put the wheel back on, lower the car, and repeat. Times 4. So I'm making it look pretty easy here, and let's take a look at the final result. Alright, that took way longer than it needed to. Currently I only have one side done, but yeah, despite using the proper method, that took way longer than it needed to, and way too many swear words. The rear hubs are so rusted that every time that wheel gets on there, it does not want to come off. Anyway, so we're halfway through. I have one side that has the spacers on there and the other side that does not. So currently I like the look of the non-spacer side better, but the point is we're not focused on where the wheel is placed, but where the top of the tire is sitting. This is the side that has not been done yet, and as you can see, the fitment from the wheel is pretty perfect in my opinion. Obviously a lot of poke, but I am going to do a 1M style front bumper, which brings this line down a little bit further outwards, so you won't notice the poke of the tire so much. So that's one aspect of that. The other half is look how much room we have up here. If we come over to the side that has been done, you can see quite a bit more of aggressive poke here. So quick note on this side, as I mentioned already, the wheel is sitting 10mm further out, so we're not looking at that right now. The only thing we're really looking at is this top ridge and where that sits in relation to the top of the fender. And here is what it looks like from the top. Again, I'm really only concerned with like where the tread bit starts. It's right on the cusp. From what I've researched, this is possible with some fender rolling and camber plates and all that kind of stuff, which I've done, but this doesn't give me a ton of hope. I'm just gonna rip these fenders to shreds. Although to be fair, it's warped already, and As much as I care about this car, I kind of feel like that's part of the fun of it, is just kind of going all out. But I don't know. That's like right on the edge of being close. The other thing is, sidewall, as I was mentioning earlier, will be slightly narrower, so maybe that eliminates a little bit of the potential to rub. And then the other half of it, I guess, going the opposite direction, is I haven't actually moved the car around yet since I jacked it up, so it's probably sitting a tiny bit higher than it would normally after moving. Yeah, so those are just kind of the main considerations. What I'm gonna do is put the spacers on the other side of the car, clean everything up, and probably drive the car around. You really should test by hitting a couple of bumps and testing the full range of motion of the suspension, but if it doesn't rub, I'm inclined to say it's probably doable. Anyway, let's do the rest of them and go for a test drive. Not gonna lie, the angle from that last time lapse had me wondering whether this was an OnlyFans account or a car channel. I'm confused because the first passenger side looks like it's a very tight squeeze, whereas the driver's side looks like it's gonna be no problem at all to get the extra bit of rubber in there. So let's have a look. So as you can see, this is the driver's side, and again, not looking at the wheel, just looking at the tire, it's got plenty of room still. Like, you know, no matter what angle you look at it, that is very comfortable to me. Like, I think you'd have no problem running a tire setup like that. The rears have also been done. I don't know if there's much variance in the rears. Again, another quirk of this car, I guess, is that the passenger side's really the only side that ever rubs for me. But I've got a feeling this is going to rub now. Alright, folks, we're back in the car. I don't know why I said back. This is the first time we're in the car. Spacers have been installed. I really am not sure why my passenger side wheel sticks out further than the driver's side wheel does. Anyway, it's time to shake this thing out and see if she rubs. The easiest way to do that is there's a gym that exists like 5 miles away from where I live right now. So, yeah, been meaning to go to the gym. Figure now's a good time to test the car. We're gonna go down the street and back. Yeah, and if it rubs, it rubs. I don't know what to tell you. Hopefully it rubs in the front right, but I don't know how to fix that if it does. Oh yeah, it was sliding on that back fender just now. But not too bad. I guess if you go super slow, probably won't be a problem. All right, sit rep. We made it to the gym after initially turning around to tighten up all of the nuts again, primarily up front because it came with some like Chinese bolts, which I don't know. They probably all come from China. I really mean they just felt cheap. So anyway, needed to tighten those down a little bit more, but there's clearly something further wrong with the suspension up front, which we plan on addressing, and hopefully at some point I can get this car fixed. But she does scrape, yes, again. I kind of avoided it for the longest time with the wheel setup and raising the car up a little bit, but yeah, we're definitely back to scraping with this wide of a tire setup again. I honestly don't think it's the best thing that I should do, but if I raise the car enough, I don't think it will scrape on just about everything. So I'm hoping to get to like a 95% no scrape rate, and then, you know, 5% of the time, if you hit something big enough, it'll scrape. But anyway, I think we're gonna send it. When I do, I'm gonna raise the car at the same time that we put the tires on, put a few more parts in the car, align it, and hopefully then we will have a finally dialed in car. I'll update you guys if we do end up going with a new tire setup. You'll see a new video, but that's gonna be it for this one. Thanks for watching. Check out all the other stuff on the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Thanks. Bye.